Hey, yo, let me tell you about this crazy opportunity that I had recently, right? So, listen, there was an opportunity that had came up. And, you know what I'm saying? I looked at the details of it and I was like, okay, boom, this feels like a good fit for me, right? So I put in a pitch for it and everything. And, I sent it to the senior producer. I want to say like the next day, the senior producer reached out and he like, yeah, Nay, like, I love everything that you bring into the table. I think you'll be a great asset for the project XYZ. Can we set up a meeting? So I'm like, absolutely. So boom, we set up the meeting to happen within the next 2 days. And so I'm like, Lord, this moving fast. Like man, what? You going crazy with this one. You know what I'm saying? Like the numbers was right. The energy was right. The whole thing, right? So, and that was before, like, we actually had, like, the physical meeting. So I'm like, I bet. So, boom. So we have the meeting. And even still, the conversations is good. The energy is right. The atmosphere is right. The tone is right. I mean, everything is right. Even their vision for the project and what they want to do and everything. And he telling me, he really feel like I would be a good asset for the project. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And so somehow we shifted the conversation to something. And he started telling me like, oh, my wife, knows so-and-so, so-and-so. And I'm like, yo, ask her if she know XYZ because that person knows me. And so he was like, yo, I know who you talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, well, yeah, ask them about me. Like they'll tell you, right? So I get off the call with bruh, and I'm just like, Lord, yo, you is wild for this. Like, you like, huh? Yeah, like this crazy, and not even crazy as in like, this is too good to be true, because truth be told, I don't think like that no more. Like, when I'm operating with God, I be showing up with expectancy. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, if it sound crazy, that's because I know God crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, bet. So boom. I'm like, all right. So he's like, yeah, like, let me talk to some of my partners. Like, I'm gonna get back with you in a few days. And so I'm like, all right, bet. And so, time is passing and I'm still just saying, oh, like, Lord, this is really crazy, huh? Like you really finna tee it up like this for me? Like, this about to be the biggest contract I done signed. Like, this is, like, they talking right with the numbers, the energy, like, just everything. You know what I'm saying? They gonna allow me to, operate how I want to operate, be the showrunner. You know what I'm saying? And so literally, man, I started doing some research. And I started like, when it comes to a project, I'm very thorough. I like to see who I'm working with. I like to see what I'm working with. Like, I'm big on just like, just trying to see. And so literally as I started doing my research, man, I ain't gonna lie, I started feeling uneasy, right? And I was like, wait, where I had to figure out where is this feeling coming from? Like, is it me feeling like, okay, imposter syndrome? And I'm like, oh, nah, we don't even deal with that no more. Like, that definitely ain't it. And so I was like, okay, so, what is it? And so literally I started looking at, like, the brand, right? And just kind of seeing, like, what are some of the people already saying about, the brand and, what they represent. And, just even seeing like what the customers are saying about it, right? And so I'm like, okay. And so I use the research as a way to just really see like, okay, boom. So, when the deal go through, keyword, I said when and not if. So when the deal go through, I'ma already know, what angle I want to come in at, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like the more research I did, the more uneasy I started feeling. And I was like, okay, just stop looking at it because it's making you uneasy. And so it's just like I couldn't put my finger on, like, I thought it was just because of all the different comments that I was seeing like online and stuff about the brand. And so I was just like, okay, like this is a way for me to come in and really like turn things around for them, right? So I kept hearing the money, like, okay, bet. So the senior producer reached out to me again, and he like, yo, I had hit so-and-so about you, and they rant and raved about you, like, yo, like, I'm so excited to, like, you know what I'm saying, get to know you more, XYZ. And I had talked to God, like, yo, I cannot believe the person that was ranting and raving about me, I hadn't talked to that person in like 6 years. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, wow, Lord, like, it's really dope to, like, you know, I ain't even talked to a person in X amount of years, but they still remember my name. They still remember my work. They still remember who I am and what I represent. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, wow, Lord, like, you really about to, this giving slam dunk. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, all right, bet. So, bro, like, cool, I'm going to be in touch in the next few days. Like, I'm really looking forward to this. And so, man, I'm telling y'all, man, like, y'all ever had that feeling where it's just like, boom, this right here is in the bag. Do you hear me? Man, bruh had reached out, man. It was like, I remember I was sleeping, man, and I was getting like antsy because it was like, dang, I'm still kind of feeling like, about, like, you know what I'm saying, what I've been reading and stuff about the brand. Like, I couldn't shake that part. And so I was just like, all right, you know, maybe it is like, you know, this just how people feeling and they just need to see some turnaround on some stuff. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm still kind of like, about it, right? And so literally, man, I actually, I don't know, I take it to God. Yo, I was like, listen, this the opportunity, right? And I definitely feel like this from you because, I mean, like, it's like the way you lining it up, like you pulling cards from people that I ain't even talked to in like ages, right? And so I'm just like, man, but I just don't want it to be one of those situations where, you know, because in the past, I've had situations where it's like, okay, boom, they say this off top, but then when you get in there, it's something different. You know, and I was like, okay, Lord, you know, I want to make sure that this is in alignment with where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, the money sounds amazing. The opportunity sounds incredible. Like, but I don't want this to, you know, interfere with, like, you know, anything that I got going on in terms of just my relationship with you, because sometimes that's how it get. Some of y'all ain't gonna admit this, but I will, right? But it's like sometimes, you know, God, like, he begins to bless us in a way where it be like, it becomes too much for us to carry. And sometimes we be trying to carry it by ourselves, right? And so, you know, if you don't know how to like set boundaries and stuff like that, it becomes a struggle for real because you just kind of allowing, you know, you're not creating a space or a safe space for you to be able to pull away when you need to and stuff like that. That's how people get burnt out with like jobs and opportunities and stuff like that. It's like you feel like you got to show up and over deliver, right? And so I get like that because I enjoy my work. You know, if you know anything about me, like production is literally like, man, like I've been doing it forever, you know, and so it is one of those things I could truly do in my sleep. And so, you know, it's just something that I'm really passionate about. So literally, that's why a lot of people like to work with me because they know, listen, it's going to get done right and it's going to get done on time. And so, but yeah, man. So I was just, you know, really expressing to God how I was feeling about it, like just bringing him my uneasiness, man. And literally, bro, I want to say like a few days or so went by. And I still just, even after I gave it to him, I still felt uneasy. And I was like, okay, so like, what am I going to do about this unease? Because I started thinking like, Lord, I'm not saying that like everything from you always feels like good in the moment. You know what I'm saying? But there's this uneasiness that I'm feeling that's like, it's not coming from a place of, oh Lord, you gave me an assignment and I'm trying to like build my energy up to like do it or believe in it or trust in it. This was a different type of uneasy, and I just couldn't like pinpoint it, And so, man, I remember just going to sleep, and I don't know, man, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, man. And so I had got up, talked to God for a minute, and then I had checked my email. And so in my email, I see bro had emailed me. So I'm like, okay, let me see what he's saying. And he was just like, yo, like at this time, we're going to have to put a pin in the project right now. Like it's some things that, it's some other opportunities that we need to settle. And so, we just going to kind of circle back or whatever. And so I'm like, what? Yo, I was like, Lord, bro, this was teed up perfectly. Like the contracts was right. The conversations was right. The energy was right. The numbers was right. Like all of it. Like it was just like, dang. And then I was like, okay, Lord, well, I'm going to keep trusting you. Oh, my God, y'all. Y'all don't even know, man. Like, I had turned on my praise and worship music. Shout out to Dante Pride, man. I had put on my Dante Pride radio station on Pandora. And yes, I said Pandora, all right? I know everybody is into Spotify and everything like that, but I don't like for, a lot of the same songs that keep kind of circulating on. I don't like the idea of like having to constantly like create the playlist and stuff like that, and I'm putting all the songs. Just give me the station and we'll go from there. So boom, I got my Dante Pride radio station on. And so literally, man, that joint got me hype. I'm talking about I'm running around the house just like marching, just like, you know what? It's crazy because the way my energy felt, you would think I just got the confirmation. You feel me? That boom, everything that went through, the project is green lit. Boom, we're going to start production on this day, right? And so it was the complete opposite. And so, in that moment, it was like, it felt like, dang, I just took a massive L. And it's like, actually, nah, it might not, you hearing massive L, but it's not the type of L that you thinking about. See, it might sound like a loss, but it's really a lesson. Because I'm like, yo, we know when things feel uneasy. Y'all know how we be seeing like red flags, and sometimes we try to ignore those red flags because it's like, oh, I like this, I want to experience this, so, we can kind of work over it. We can work through it over time. And it's just like, nah, you have to trust your instincts, right? You got to learn how to trust what you're feeling. You know what I'm saying? And I know like feelings are fleeting, right? But sometimes you feel that gut feeling of like, yo, I don't know about this. Or you feel that gut feeling of like, yo, this is it. This is the moment. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very important that you be honest with yourself about what you feeling and how you feeling. You know what I'm saying? And I know the enemy was mad because he probably was thinking like, dang, oh yeah, she gonna be disappointed. She gonna be hurt. And it was just like, don't get me wrong, man. I needed the opportunity, y'all. I'm talking about, listen, what? This was about to be the biggest contract I ever signed in my career. This was about to be a major look for my companies. This was about to be a major look for me, the whole thing. And I was just like, yo, Lord, I'm not saying it don't hurt. I'm not saying it don't sting. Man, but I'm going to keep trusting you because I've seen you do some wild things. I've seen you do some things that was just like out the blue. There was nothing that I saw that even would make me feel or have an inkling that this opportunity was on the horizon. You know what I'm saying? So I done seen you do that, and that was wild. You feel me? So I'm looking at the situation like if he did it before, he'll do it again. And so although this might be the biggest contract, this won't be the last biggest contract. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, yeah, man. You just, like, I had to share that because I'm just like, it might be somebody else that's listening in, that's just feeling like, dang, I feel like I had this opportunity in my hands and it just slipped through the cracks, or, it just didn't pan out, or, just whatever the situation is. And you got to understand that, you hear the cliche saying of like, that redirection can also be God's protection. And I understand that, sometimes in the moment, it don't feel like protection. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it don't feel like, this feels good. You really be feeling like, dang, I was looking forward to that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Panning out and just what it could be, right? But for me, I really started thinking like, yo, that uneasiness that I was feeling that for a reason. Y'all know how like y'all eat something and your stomach start hurting? That's what it was giving. Like, your stomach hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feeling like, yo, I can't have that. I can't have that again. I don't know what that it is, right? And you got to trust how you feeling sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so literally, man, I did feel like, okay, over like a little time had went by, and the senior producer actually had randomly called me one day, and he was just like, yo, I just really wanted to call you personally because it's just like, we got some wild stuff going on over here. And, he just started telling me like all of this negative stuff. And so I was just like, wow, like by the time I got off the phone, I was just like, wow, Lord, you actually just held me. You know what I'm saying? You actually just kept me safe, because it's like you knew that had I went full-fledged with that opportunity and it would have panned out, I might have had it sounded like I would have had a similar experience that I had in the past that I don't want to relive. I'm still, letting go of the trauma from that. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, wow, like, thank you for keeping me. Thank you for looking out for me. Even when, sometimes I'm looking at you sideways like, dang, Lord, for real. Why would you get me that excited just for that situation not to pan out? And it's just like, yo, we don't even be knowing where God be saving us from, man. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just like, all right. And so literally, like, I appreciate, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, calling me and just kind of letting me know, putting me up on game about what was going on behind closed doors. Because it was just like, even when we was having our conversation, in the meeting, it's like he was definitely, just kind of letting me know where he stand with it and how he feel about it and, just the whole thing. But it was just like, boom, I'm going to guarantee you that you're going to be able to do X, Y, Z. And so it's like, okay, bet. And so, even with him, I just appreciate him standing on his word. Like, I'm not going to bring you into a situation and I just guaranteed you X, Y, Z, and then I got to change it now that we didn't sign the paperwork. Like, I'm not going to do that to you. Like, your name holds too much weight, basically like your fruit be speaking for itself. And I was like, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really couldn't even be mad at him. You know what I'm saying? And so, man, to anybody that's going through that experience right now, just know, even when you don't understand it, even when it don't feel like it, God really just protecting you and keeping you from situations that could possibly add to the trauma that you're still trying to let go of, right? He's trying to protect you, you know what I'm saying, from yourself. Because even for me, I feel like he was protecting me from myself, where it's like, hey, I see some red flags, but, you know, I'm going to try to see if I can work around them or work with them. And it's just like, every situation that you encounter, no, it's not going to be a perfect situation, but you are going to be able to lean on your discernment, right? You're going to be able to lean on your discernment and be able to know and identify what you can and shouldn't work with. You feel me? What you should do and shouldn't do, right? And so, and I really appreciate this lesson, because I already know, you know, as I continue to grow and just elevate into the woman God has called me to be and do the things that God has called me to do, I'm going to have several conversations, several contracts, just several different opportunities where I got to allow me to really lean on him and the discernment that he's given me, regardless of how much money on the line. You know what I'm saying? And y'all already know, sometimes we just be so focused on the money, right, that we're not even really thinking about seriously enough the opportunity and what it entails and what it requires and what it's going to cost us. You know what I'm saying? We just thinking about the money and what we need right now and the whole thing, right? And so, you know, you just got to know that sometimes it is bigger than the money. And I ain't even going to say sometimes, I'm going to say all the time, you know, because there are going to be opportunities. And I'm telling you, you are going to have opportunities that come up. And sometimes it's going to be people you know, and sometimes it's going to be people you don't know. But there's going to be opportunities that come up, and you are going to have to decide, yo, am I going to trust my discernment, or am I going to go this way? And sometimes, although it may seem like going this way is better because that's where the upfront money is, or that's where the money is, that's where the opportunity is, that's where the visibility is, whatever it is that you're going for, whatever it is that you're going after, right? Y'all already know, man, there's a lot of people out here that have literally, they are swimming in the money. They are swimming in so many different things, and they are still unfulfilled in life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to start looking at what these things are going to cost you, right? How is this going to affect you, not just short term, but long term? You know what I'm saying? All money ain't good money, and all opportunities ain't good opportunities. And you really got to be able to lean on your discernment to be able to know what's what. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the vibes. Trust God, trust the process, and he always going to order your steps. He always going to position you and make sure you're in the right rooms. You're in the right place at the right time with the right protection. You feel me? Y'all better stop playing and catch these gems, man. Hey, shout out to everybody around the world that's been tuning in, man. I really do appreciate y'all. Like, y'all don't even know, man. Well, you do know if you've been listening to like all the episodes, but literally, man, God gave me this. Well, we had this conversation years ago, and before we had this conversation, he actually had put it on me to start elevation talks, right? And it was a whole process that I had to go through, man. Like, I didn't even want to do it for real. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't believe in myself enough for real. And so literally, man, I kept trying to put the podcast off because I felt like I needed it to, you know, I needed to be big, right? You know what I'm saying? I want to start with the works. I want to have a studio. I want to have a team. Pretty much everything I have when I'm show running, you know what I'm saying? When I'm producing a show for somebody else. And so I really had to lean into, you know, all you have is all you need. And literally, you know, when I said yes to the assignment, God literally just started providing resources. And, you know, it has grown into what it has grown into today. And I'm just grateful, man. I really appreciate everybody just tuning in and sharing and sending me feedback. You know, like, I don't take that stuff lightly because I remember there was times when I thought about not doing this, and down to the point where like, okay, Lord, this is not yielding me any money. So why do you want me to put all my time, effort, and energy into it? And so it was just like, he started teaching me at the time, like, yo, there are things that's bigger than money, right? There is other fruit besides money. You understand what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, I'm really glad that I got on the mic and still rocking it out. You know what I'm saying? Still running it up per usual. So, yeah, keep tuning in, keep sharing. And y'all can email me, man, at elevationtalks at gmail.com. Let me know what topics y'all want to hear. Listen, I got stories for days. So y'all just, y'all let me know what y'all want to get into and I'll talk about it, man. But until next time, y'all already know, run it up per usual and do whatever you've been called to do. All right? Peace. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.